Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC comic review for the 4th week of January 2022, and in this review I'll be covering again 3 more comics, starting off with Static issue 5. My goodness, 1 more issue away and this series will be complete. Yay! Of course, the last issue of Superman 78, which has been absolutely incredible from beginning to end. And last but not least, The Flash issue 778. I must admit, it's really nice to hear good reviews in regards to this series, because yeah, it meets the good reviews. And it's because of the good reviews that I have decided to pick up the Flash series. Where beforehand, I'd probably only pick up, say, maybe some trades. This is now opening up the door for me to pick up maybe even some more trades of the character of the Flash, whether it's Joshua Williamson or Jeremy Adams. Trust me, I want to get the Jeremy Adams one in softcover trade paperback already, of what I've read of it. It is great and I'm enjoying it. So, I better get to reviewing the first comic, which will be Static. So, jumping into first things first, in relation to Static, does Static in any way, shape or form with this cover connect to anything that's happening inside of the story? Not really. And in regards to this cover, where beforehand, I think the previous one, it got a higher rating than the rating I'm about to give it now, to which the rating for this cover is a 6 out of 10. I'll now show you some of the internal art around the beginning, middle and end, as well as cover some of the things that are happening inside the story. So, starting off with first things first, we have Virgil and Francis up against each other, and of course we know where this is happening, which is really nice to know. It is good to see this, but we don't get any indication of time or any references to what led up to this, only what we're being told on the panel. I'll now jump to the middle as things occur in the story. As you can see here, something has actually happened to one of the characters, and somewhat being interrogated of sorts, as well as some friends of Virgil looking for him. And last but not least, let's go towards the end. And as we approach the end, or towards the end, we have Virgil and also someone that he's currently a bit of an antagonist on the left hand side, and making his way, it almost looks like he's making his way out of the facility, if I remember. And for this art, I did quite like the artwork, but how did the story go? But for the artwork rating, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to jump to the story. Were there any references to any of the previous issues? No, none at all. I'm afraid to say because of that, there are points being lost here. Was there any references as to what was, when things were happening time-wise? No, there wasn't. Did it, in essence, occur to losing points? Yes, it did. The areas where it did stand up was in the area of locations, such as the Dakota City Steel Factory, as well as inside the factory. We also had Francis, Virgil, Daisy, Agent Jones, Darius, and I think it's Joel was another, Jules it might have been, were the cast of characters for this. For the overall story rating, I gave it a 6 out of 10, slightly disappointing. I was expecting a little bit more. Let's just hope the last issue can end on a bang and not the big bang that it expects. I don't think it will get the big bang, but we can only hope. So it's time to move to the next issue that will be reviewed. So the next issue in line that's going to be reviewed is going to be Superman 78, issue 6 by Robert Venditti. And this has been an incredible series. I recommend you pick it up. If you're big in the singles, pick it up in the singles. If you want to pick it up in the trade, pick it up in the trade. This series has been absolutely incredible. And yeah, I wouldn't mind getting it in the trade as well when it comes out. But it's been nice to review this on the channel from first to last issue. So starting off with the cover, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to anything that's happening inside of the story? You bet it does. 7.5 out of 10. No questions asked. It was fantastic. Now it's time to move into the internal art, which will again look at the beginning, middle and the end. And as we look at things, even story-wise, this takes place in Brainiac's ship. And of course we do know that it's located in the ship where this fight takes flight. And as we can see here, we've got Superman, well, doing what Superman does. Being a hero. And we start to see a bit of a conversation that's coming out here, and we even have Brainiac indicating that even he too lost everything, but he went a different way about it, and that's why he ended up doing things the way he did, thinking he was doing things the right way. As we jump towards the middle of the story, we of course have Superman managing to, well, have the return of Metropolis, which is absolutely fantastic in this. And of course, we've got Lex Luthor here, doing what he's good at, being a villain, but also being one of the smartest villains in the DC universe. And of course, Robert Venditti ends the story, even with the artwork, at the Fortress of Solitude. And look at this. This is absolutely beautiful. He's practically got his own parents with him in the end. This is 10 times better than what bloody Tom Taylor's putting out. I think personally, I'd rather Venditti be writing the son of Superman or the son of Kal-El than Tom Taylor, because this ending is absolutely amazing in relation to this story of Superman 78. So for the internal art, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Jumping to the story, of course there are the things that I personally enjoy. Were there any references, and did it affect the score? No, there wasn't, but you totally could understand what was happening in the story. We got no indication of time, not that it really matters, didn't really affect the story rating that much. The locations that we had were Brainiac's skull ship, Metropolis, and last but not least, the Daily Planet. The cast of characters consisting of Brainiac, Superman, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, Perry White, and last but not least, Jimmy Olsen. I really loved and enjoyed this story. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Thank you very much, Robert Venditti. I definitely look forward to any more stories that you are putting out. He is presently covering World of Krypton at the moment. Some people like it, others don't. But if you really want to pick up something great of Robert Venditti's, pick up his Hawkman. So moving on to the third comic which is going to be reviewed in this, and that is The Flash issue 778 by Jeremy Adams. And jumping into first things first, seeing Detective Chimp has gone bananas, I think you'll go bananas for it too, because this cover gets an 8.5 out of 10 rating from me. Now it's time to cover the internal art around the beginning, middle and the end, which will cover some of the things that are happening inside of the story. And as things begin in relation to this story, we have Wally's kids. And as we can see, we've got Irie, who's out with one of her friends, and all of a sudden there's a villain that decides to make an appearance. And it's up for Big Brother to do what Big Brothers do, and that is to, well, look after his siblings. And it's really nice to see this here too. And this is something that Jay is writing in his diary or his journal, and I'm really enjoying this aspect in relation to the story, because it's really good to see something like this included in the comic, and it gives us a bit of an idea as to even what Wally West's family are feeling, what they're going through, and it's really good to see this. I'll now jump towards the middle. As we jump towards the middle of the story, we notice that Irie and her friend ends up getting captured, even though there is a little bit more that happens in between here in relation to what Wally West is doing on Gemworld, along with Justice League Dark. This is something that's happening on Earth right now. And they realize, okay, the Speed Force is going to have to go back to Big Brother. And last but not least, towards the end, of course, spoilers. Sorry about it anyway, but it's going to happen. And they realize their old man's in trouble. It's time for them to help him. So for the internal art in this, I also gave it an 8.5 as I really enjoyed it alongside with the story, and it really deserves it and it's worth it. And big thanks again to Jeremy Adam and his crew that worked on him in this story. Now it's time to jump to the story rating. Even though I am very new to this run, yes, I guess you can consider me a little bit lenient because I am very new to Jeremy Adams' writing, and I am going to need to read a little bit more of it should there be any changes in regards to the story rating. So let's move into first things first. Were there any comic references to any of the previous comics? No, there wasn't, but did it affect the overall score? Not a lot. Moving into the area of time, no indication of time of when a lot of the things were taking place, though it wouldn't have hurt to be included. Didn't quite affect the overall score. Moving into the area of locations, we had Gemworld, of course, Earth, and Castle Opal, which was really quite interesting, and it was good to see that in the story. Moving into the cast of characters, we had Jay, Irie, Maxine, who was connected to one of the villains. We also had Wally West, Justice League Dark, which are also on Gemworld, Princess Amethyst, again, who is also on Gemworld, and last but not least, Eclipso. Giving this story an overall 9 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.